Hello everyone. How you doing? Just give me a second. I'm just finishing stuff because I was terribly late today. So I am still have to send the announcements, which is kind of the theme in these last days. So just give me a second. Just need to finish this up and then we can begin with the project. The things that we need to do today. Let's copy this. Let's go to Twitter. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Text to ads project. Actually, okay, never mind. I should do it. Copy this, post, and let's go to Discord real quick. Here we go. All right, I should do it. Closing this. Hey, Abdul, how you doing, man? So nice to see you again. Thank you for joining me. I'm just finishing up the setting up, just setting things up, and then we can begin. What else? Let's just. I have a few things open here. Okay. Open text. No, ads was it? TTS. And that's it. All right. So what did we end up doing last week? So if you recall, we were kind of doodling the code that we want to use to show available slots for people who are looking to advertise. I will send in Twitter message to you to see my package. Sure, yeah. Send me a message and I will take a look. So yeah, I have this code doodle that we made. And one thing I realized is that we are not going to need to use the, what was it? There was one package that I loaded. I think it was the period package from Spatty. How do you, Hi, first of all, but trying to figure out how to soccer? I hope I'm saying it right. Thank you for joining me. So yeah, I initially thought that we were going to need to use that package, but after some consideration, I realized that we will be able to get along just fine with the, where is it? Carbon period class. I think the period package was being used in the course that I watched to get inspiration to generate a big chunk of slots in a big period of time, like from like a week or something like that. In our case, the form that we are using, we're already going to know the date, the service, and in this case, the radio station. So those three key items will be enough to generate a bunch of slots for that specific day. And also we can easily filter out the appointments that have already been booked for that day. And in fact, I have this line here, which is everything that we need. For example, let's imagine that we have a table with appointments, and the key aspects of that table will be the date of the appointment, the radio station for the appointment, and also the radio station, the date, and the time, right? So those three key items, at least two of them, we already have. So we can just grab all of the appointments for that date and then put them in a collection like this. And while we are generating all of the slots for that day, we just check if the collection of booked slots contain the current time that we are iterating on. I send it to you. I hope you look at it and tell me your suggestions. Yeah, I'll take a look later today or maybe tomorrow. Just give me some time. I don't really use Twitter for much other than the announcements and stuff. So I don't open it regularly, but I will make a note to open it up and check your package. So yeah, so in this case, let's imagine that, let's just use an empty collection for now. If we run it like this, we get a bunch of slots from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But if we add a few items here to this booked slots, which will come from a database, then if we run it, you can see that the 9:30 slot is not longer available. Same with the 11:30. So we would only show slots that are available because there are no booked items on that time. What we need to do now is take this doodle and then implement it on our filament form in the best way possible. And just fill in the gaps where all of this comes from a database. And what else? Yeah, all of the information comes from filament form fields, etc., etc. Okay. Let me open the project and see where we are at. Let's create a new branch. How are we on branch right now? Branch changes. Yeah, I'm gonna put all of this and commit it, and then we can start fresh. So this was form polish. Why is there a private one? I published this already. I don't think I have. Okay, I'm not gonna publish the branch just yet because I don't remember if I have a public repo for this, and I don't want to mess it up. So after the stream today, I'll probably update the description of this video with the link to the GitHub repo. For now, let's just keep it like that, and let's branch out from this. Let's Let's call it available plots. I didn't fix this screen last time. Actually, let me go ahead and do that. Why is it not in dark mode? Have dark mode select. Oh, I know why. Because the login screen has a different layout. The app layout has the dark glass. The guest layout doesn't. Really? Not. That's interesting. What else is different? Filament styles? Yeah, probably. Not that. That. There you go. And I think the link was at create. Okay. So we are able to get all of these radio stations come from the database, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check. So create add. Yes. Well, no. Do we have radio stations on the database? This is the enum class. I guess we're going to have to start filling up the database because I'm going to need that. Let me see if I have a migration for that. Users, radio stations. So yeah, we have a radio station table. Does it have anything in it? This is not the database. We only have one. Okay, let's start by connecting that select to the radio stations from the database instead of the enum class. Another thing that we should start think about too is the fact that this form should be connected to a model. Probably the appointments model. The add should be an ads table, which in our case, the ads themselves will be the appointments. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this options here, I'm gonna have to use a function to get all of the radio stations. I should probably remove that enum. It's kind of it's kind of confusing having the same class, but one is a model, one is an enum. I'm gonna end up removing that. Yeah, see, it renames it because we can't have two classes with the same name. I'm going to remove this. And yeah, we need the relationship as well. What relationship? So yeah, we'll take care of all the models in just a sec. I'm just gonna use the radio station class to fill in the select for now. In this case, we can use pluck. And first one is the label. So that'll be name. Second one, the key, we can use ID. Model station, radio station. There you go. Now it's coming from the database. What has many? I don't know which. We don't. You don't need to. If you're saying to array referring to this, this is a faster way. Instead of using select and then, well, if you do pluck, this comes out as an array. Just so you know, you don't need to do. Actually, it comes out as a collection, but the options function here, the select, understands you can use arrays or collections interchangeably. So if it comes out as a collection, it works. So that way you don't have to do as array or to array. Let's start thinking about the ads table, because yeah, the ads table is going to belong to 3 other models. Going to belong to 3? Going to belong to a service, and it's going to belong to a radio station. Yeah, only 2. And then radio station can have many ads, and then services can also have many ads for that service. Let's go ahead and create that. We have the services, we have the schedules, we have radio station. We should also link it to the user. Very important. Make model add slot, just so that it's a bit more verbose. Add slot. And let's create a migration and a factory just in case. What's that? Xdebug is enabled. Let me fix that real quick. Okay, cool. Let's open that and let's start adding columns. So we are going to need, as we said, 3 relationships, 3 foreign keys. So table, foreign ID. Am I using foreign ID or foreign ID 4? Foreign ID, okay. Foreign ID. This will be, let's start with the user ID, constraint. We need another one for the radio station ID. And finally, one for the service. Now, the other piece of information that we need for an appointment is the date table. That'll be a date column. Let's call it date. And the time table. This will be a time column. And let's call it time. Let me think. I'm thinking that maybe we could use something like schedule at. What do you think about that? It's very similar to the created at, updated at, scheduled at. So we're following the naming conventions of all of the Laravel tables and timestamps. And sorry, not timestamps. Yeah, timestamps. I think time can stay like that. So schedule at, that'll be a date, and then the time will be a time. Yeah, I like it. Well, what else? I'm guessing this is going to grow a bit when we also associate the... Actually, we do need to put the text here. Let's say table text. And this will be for the add copy. Why would I need a JSON, Abdul? I don't think we need a JSON column for this table. There is no options or configurations that I can think of that will justify a JSON column. The add copy, you know, in the other hand, I do need that because along with the file that I'm going to create when we get to the text to speech, I'm going to have to associate a file for time. No, I don't think so. No, that's funny. One of the first chatters in Twitch, and it's spam. Awesome. So no, for the time, I don't see why I should be using JSON. I'm going to need that cast as, yeah, but that right there, that's going to be the output. I'm going to need that column to be cast as a carbon instance so that I can format it like that. And it'll be easier when you save data back and forth. So I do need it at a time. And then later on the model, I can just cast it. Same for the scheduled add. For now, I'm just going to keep the add copy, which is the text that goes with the add. Later on, when we get to the text to speech, I'm going to generate an audio file that will be linked to the add as well. But for now, this should be fine. Anything else? I don't think so. Actually, let me do something real quick. Okay, sorry about that. All right. Yeah, I think that's all I need for the add slots. And this is going to be the model that will be connected to the form. Save that. Let's go to the model class itself. And start with let's cast those two columns, starting with schedule add. I'm gonna need that as a date and time. Can I cast as a time or do I have to use date time? Let me check. By default, the date and date time cast will serialize dates to UTC. I think I have to use date time. Yep. Which is fine. Let's set up the relationships right away, starting with the user. So this is a belongs to relationship. Oh, return this belongs to user class. One more for the service. And finally, the radio station. Let me remove that enum. I don't need it anymore. We have the add slot model ready to go. Let's try and connect it to the form right away so that I don't forget later. How did we connect it? Let me check. Model. So I need a public property, which would be add slot. Let's call it add. And then down here, we use state path and then model. But wait, this is for editing. Passing the form model. In some cases, the forms model is not available until the form has been submitted. For example, in a create post. In our case, it's a create add. Then the post does not exist until the form has been submitted. Therefore, you can't pass it into the form model. However, you can pass a model class instead. So let's do that. Let's use okay, like that. So we don't need this public thing here. All right. So all this is doing is telling the form once when you are going to attempt to create a record, use that model. So it's going to use that model and create a record for that model. And then the record will be returned. We're going to handle that here. But for now, let's see if there is any errors. Anything broken? No? Good. Okay. Let's start with what do we need? So we have the service, which is this one. I need to connect this to service. We need more. We need another thing. So we do have the services table. Create services table. Belongs to a radio station. Wait. Oh wait. Not services, service types. Well, yeah. I mean, we need a service type. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's for this drop down here. What I'm thinking is, do I need that or do I just set it here? No, wait. This is the service. This is the add service. The service type is something different. And that should be associated with the add slot, not the service. Okay. We need to make a slight modification to the add slot table. We need another relationship. Or actually, yeah, we need another one. Not service types, business type. ID. So that means we need another model. That is going to be the same as this enum here. So anticipating to that, I'm just going to delete that enum. And let's just get rid of the folder. And that's going to give me an error because I'm using that in the create add class. Let me get rid of it. Let it empty for now. And also this here. Go away. Okay. So hopefully that will not throw an error when I do PHP artisan make model. 1 second. Make model business type. All right. Business type table. It's going to be really simple. We just need a business type name for now. Table string. Description. Description, label, type, title. All of those could be. Let's leave it at description for now. Okay. So we have that. Now we need to add some. Actually, we haven't run the migrations yet. We need to do that. Before I do that, one last thing in the model, the add slot model, because we need another belongs to. So let's put it here. Finally, let's go to the add slot. No, sorry, create add component and plug it in here. Now let's run the migrations. I'm not going to do fresh. Let's migrate. Now we have the add slots table and the business types table. Reorder database table business table before add slot. I think you meant that so that it didn't create an error, but thankfully, because I'm using, well, no, I don't think that was a problem. It wasn't, obviously, because there was no error. I think it's because I'm using the foreign ID, or maybe just the fact that Laravel has got very good at knowing, like disabling foreign keys, maybe. I'm curious, this constraint adds a foreign key? I think it does. So maybe Laravel just disable foreign keys when running migrations. I do remember that that was a problem. When creating migrations, you had to be careful when you had a foreign key on one table, but that migration was before the actual table that the main table depended on. Like in this case, I'm depending on the business type table to exist before creating the add slots table. But as you can see, that wasn't the case. So created the add slots table and then the business type. So the foreigner, I'm thinking, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think migrations disable foreign key constraints when creating tables. I think. Otherwise, yeah, it would have been a problem. Someone can correct me on that. Ooh, losing my voice. Someone can correct me on that if I'm wrong. Down in the comments. So we have tables. All we need now is a few entrances on. Let me refresh this. Business types. So let's add a few entries here. Starting with, what was it? No, I don't remember. I think one was entertainment. The other one was digital goods, I think, and services. I don't have to be precise. And let's just say other. All right. So now you can go and connect that to, actually it's already connected, wasn't it? Yeah. Let's go back. Oh, something's wrong here. No such stable business types. Really? Did I name it wrong? No, it is there. Maybe it's just a residual error. There you go. Uh-huh. There you have it. So now we have business type, we have the ad copy, we have the radio station, blah, 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 radio station, what else? So we're gonna need the date. For the date, we can do something really, really simple in this case. Just so that we don't have to worry about bringing in like a full calendar drop down and stuff like that. We can just have a simple drop down and we just generate the 5 entries of that drop down starting today and then 4 days in advance. Really simple. Let's see how that looks. You can even use carbon period for this. Yeah. Let me doodle that. Just like we did here. Where is it? The times. We can create a carbon period with times where the interval is in minutes. But instead of doing that, how about, let's go down here and let's say dates, carbon period, create, and for the start time, we can do carbon now. Although carbon now is going, okay, carbon now, start of day. And then we can do, put this down here. So that'll be the start. Then comes the interval, which is going to be one day, I think. I hope that's right. And then the end will be carbon now at day 5. I say 5 and I type 4. My mouth doesn't know, but my brain does. So good for brain. At 4 days and then end of day. I think that should be good. Let me just comment this out. What if I do dates? Okay, let me just see what happens with this. Carbon obviously is not a class. Carbon. Okay, so we have a carbon period. Let's, what is this? One sec. Let's just do dates array. What do we do? Month, day, and year, like that. Actually, let's make this a collection. Come on. Collect. Thank you. See? Simple. Well, kinda. Why did it go to the third? Today is the second. UTC, maybe? I think that's the problem. Hold on. And let's go to... What is it? App configuration, config, app. There you go. Name, environment debug, time zone is UTC. I'm going to change that in the .env file. And instead, I'm going to use things like this. And I might have to use double quotes. Yeah, screw that up. Okay. And let's see if I run it now. There you go. Now it starts on the same date. So today, tomorrow, and 4 days in advance. In the future, sorry. So now instead of doing that, I can maybe do for the key date, put in the actual date that I needed for the database. So it'll be formatted as year, month, day. Like so. Maybe because it's not cascade on delete. Yeah, maybe. Maybe that could be the case. But still, I mean, even if it's not cascade on delete, a foreign key is a foreign key. So if you create a table with a foreign key pointing to another table, and that table doesn't exist, generally, if you do that in SQL, that's going to give you a problem. So that's why I say that in the process of running all the migrations, Laravel disables the foreign key constraints. I know there is a way to do that in SQL, to do that yourself in SQL. So I'm guessing that's what's going on here. And like I said, that used to not be the case. If I remember correctly, maybe on Laravel before 8, I think 8 forward, that was fixed. I'm not remembering exactly which version, but I do remember that somewhere between 5 and 6 or 7, somewhere between 5 and 8, or actually 8 moving forward, that wasn't a problem. Before 8, I do remember that being a problem. I do remember distinctly me having problems with migrations and the order of the migration, which mattered. All right, let's plug this into the select, into a select. let's just copy this form. Let's call it scheduled add because that's the column name. Wait, yeah, it's a column name. That's the column name of the model that we are connecting to this form, which is add slot. I got lost. Here we go. So schedule add, let's select, label, let's call it date. And then for the options, we're going to need a proper function here. Actually, it's carbon period. Carbon period. Create. And then just going to copy this. So start of the day today, 1 day period, then ending on 4 days in the future, end of day. That'll be the dates period. Add protected function to return date. Where? Oh yeah, on the optimization part, maybe when we rework some of this code, we can, you know, chunk it down, put it in functions, etc., etc. I do recommend this every time you're creating something. Don't worry about the length of the code. Worry about the functionality first, and then worry about the optimization. Just make it work as fast as you can so that you can fail as many times as you need. And then when it's working, then you go back and say, okay, this piece of code doesn't look good here. Maybe I create a function. Maybe this belongs into a class, etc., etc. But don't do that at the very beginning, because then you get stuck in over analysis, or what is called analysis paralysis. So just hammer it down, pedal to the metal, just go quickly, even not even worrying about, and I am guilty of this. Don't worry about the namings and the naming variables and nothing like that. Just go quick when we're doing this kind of prototyping. Then when it's working, then you go back and make it look pretty. So we have the dates period, then we can do this for each year. And then we push that date. Wait, no, we have to do it like this. Dates. Date. It's supposed to be an equal sign. There we go. Come on. And then we just return that. Noise. So this will always be dynamic and we'll start on the day and move forward. So, okay, so we have that. So we now can select a date, a radio station, and a business type. And I think with that, we're ready to move on to, okay, so we know the radio station. We know the kind of, there's only going to be one service at this point. So we always, but do we need that? I think we do. So here's the thing. Let me think, hold on. I think we already mentioned that even though there's only one true service, which is a 20-second ad, $12 a piece. The fact that radio stations can choose to run that service on different intervals means that there will be several entries here for the same type of service, which is a 30-second ad, but on different intervals. So that means that when we select the radio station, we need to dynamically pull in the service, because that will give us the interval in which we are going to generate all of the available slots. Okay. So we need a dependent select. What I'm thinking though is it's not going to be a drop down, because if it is, if the options that you need to show are less than 5, then don't use a select. And this I learned from Caleb. Instead, use a radio box. So we're going to have a radio field here that is not going to be visible, and even the date should not be visible. Well, it can be. We just don't show the available slots or fill the available slots until you select the service. Let's try this. Let's try adding, first of all, I'm going to add a radio group to show services. I'm going to fill it with dummy data first, just to see how it looks. And then we'll make it dynamic. Should be right after radio station. Forms, components, radio. Make. Get it? We're using radios for the radio. Sorry. So this would be, what would this be? This will be the service ID. This will be the service ID. And this requires options. Right now, in the table, we just have text to speech add. Let's just copy that for now. Let's say that the ID is 1 and the description is text to speech add. Let's just, this will be dynamic too, but I'm gonna add we should add the price here. Let's say 30 seconds. All of this will be dynamic. For now, I just need to see it. Okay. Let's give it a different label though. So as soon, let me reload. As soon as we have a radio station, the service, and the date, we can then generate or fill a list of options for the slot. And that's going to be a select too. Because it's more than 5 options when all of the slots are available. Well, that depends. Should be a checkbox, shouldn't it? Checkbox list, because in that case, the user can just check as many slots as he or she wants. And then we can take all of those and create ads. Oh, okay. That's going to be interesting. We have to create one record, one ad record for each of the selected slots. We also have to give a summary of how much the user has to pay in the review based on how many checks they have. This is getting interesting. Okay, one thing at a time. Let's not, because this is what happens when you start to overanalyze things. I'm just trying to see everything laid down in front of me as it should be in its final form. And that usually paralyzes me. That's why I said try to break things down in smaller chunks, because if I try to see it all at one time, it's going to overwhelm me and probably you. So don't think about the whole thing, just think about the next thing, the next small step. In this case, I think it's going to be just generating this service radio boxes. So just small things, one thing at a time, move steadily. Doesn't matter if it's slowly or not, but just one thing at the time. So first of all, the radio station select has to be live. because we need the radio station ID in order to go and fetch its service. This is what I meant by this should have been a has one, because we're always going to return the first entry. There should not be a case where the same radio station has more than one service, because it only needs to have one interval, and that's it, which is going to be a limitation that we are imposing in the code, and probably should be imposed also later on when we have an admin panel for this. Just one thing to keep in mind. So if this is live, that means that we can go to this option here, and let's use a function. How to add image also? Well, adding an image is not a part of the requirements in this project, but if you need to add an image to a form, I think there is already a form field for it, which is the file, I think. Let me check. File upload. There we go. So you can use the file upload to add attachments to a form, which will end up in your database, and you can restrict those to be images only. So you can go and watch this video, it's really good, and I'm pretty sure I do have another video talking about images as well, so you can check that out. In fact, let me put it in chat just so that you don't miss it. And I think this one would do. It's more about keeping the storage clean, but it has the code that you need. Where is the share? Oh, here. Yeah, no problem. Anytime. So in this function, we're going to need the get class so that we can retrieve the value of radio station. How did we do that? Let me check the documentation because I have a terrible memory. I think it was in advanced, was it? Form component injection. No. Injecting a function to set state of another, or injecting the state of another field. Dynamic fields based on select option here. No, not what I need. Or maybe. Hmm. think there was a depend. Okay, here it's right above it. I almost missed it. So we have the select options, which has to be made live. And then we have another select, which is the subcategory in which the options will depend on a function. Array match get category. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so this is a match. Oh, I see. So based on the category, it's giving me different arrays. That's not what I need. I just need to use the value. So what happens if I do this? By the way, this should be radio station ID. Just do a small debug here. I choose one. Well, kind of broke, but there you go. That's what I was looking for. There you go. Now I can use that value, if it is present, to fill in an array. So I can do radio station find get radio station ID, and then I can do first. And I think I can do the block right after. Block. No, wait. Service. Talking about services. Not quite. I think I think what you're doing is just grabbing pieces of the documentation, but they don't really apply to the case because let me explain. The relationship method only applies when the form that is, sorry, when the model that is connected to the form has a relationship that you're using to display a list of values. In this case, that is usually for editing. So the reason why it doesn't apply to this case is because I'm using the models themselves. So the ones that should be used for the relationship, I'm just grabbing those and query them separately. But in this case, let me see, builder query get modify query using. I think that makes it a bit more complicated than I want to. I don't know if it's me, but I kind of find it easier to read when I'm not using a relationship. Instead of I'm constructing the list of options myself instead of having to go through a relationship. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like that gives you a bit more control over the query, and instead of having to use the modify query using, which again is one level down in the abstraction or in the order of processes. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe that's a better way to do it. But I think it's more of a preference for me to have the ability to craft the final array that goes into the options. And I think that'll makes it easier in this case to read and understand. Fine, get radio station. So I get the first and then block the, no, it's not radio station, it's service. Service find. No, wait, I was doing it right. I need the radio station first with the radio station ID. And then I need to query the service. Just get the first one and then block well, hold on. No, yeah, I can. I don't know if block is going to be the right one because I want to make it. I want to make it look like this. Oh, it's gone. So it was the description, I guess. What was it? Yeah, the description, and then some the 30-second, and then the price. So description and price come from database. So let's just do first for now. See what we get. One sec. Let's put this in a variable. Was it services? Yeah, services. Okay, so we have that. How about attributes? Attributes. Here. Okay, so we are getting the right record. With services. Let me think. I don't know. The fact that I'm doing first is the thing that it's making me not use with services because I'm actually, either way, I'm querying the relationship, right? So adding with will add another query on top of that, I think. So I'm not really worried about eager loading in this case because I'm not displaying a list of radio stations in a table. If I were, maybe I would use with. But in this case, I'm not worried, and I'm already querying the relationship either way. So we're getting the right service record. Now we just need to craft the options. So I guess we can do a return right here. We can do a service ID, and then service description. We append 30 seconds. Then we append, did we bring in the money package? Let me check. I think we're casting it, right? Service. Yeah, we're casting the price. So that means if I do service price, should already come pre-formatted. Ooh, ooh. We just need to hide the label, I think, until we select a radio station. Let's do that. Was it visible? I think. Yeah, visible. Let's do fn get and then get I wonder if this is null or empty string. I wonder if this will even work. Let's try it. It did work. So it's hidden. We select a radio station. It's visible and it has the service that we want. I like it. So now we have the radio station. When we click on this, we can use the same technique, make this live so that we will keep that value stored. And then we have the radio station, we have the service. And when you select a date, then we show another drop down with all the available slots. Sound good? Sounds good. Okay, so we need another select. And before I forget, let's make this one live. Okay. So we have the date here. And one more select. Forms. Components. Select. Make. This will be, what was the column? Time. Let's label it. We're gonna need the get here as well. So get. This is where all of our doodles come into play. So let's start analyzing those and see how we can implement this. I'm going to comment this portion here. I don't need it anymore. And then uncomment all of this. Oh, missed one. Oh, what happened? What happened? Oh, this happened. Okay. So we need this array. Although the time, let's modify the key for this. We're going to need that value to be saved. So how do we want this? Well, I guess, okay, so first of all, 17 p.m. No, thank you. That's gonna be H. Then I'm just trying to remember if I just try to save this value, a value like this, in a timestamp column, because that's the well, it is time. I wonder if I can just push this kind of value like that, and the database will take, or actually Laravel will take care of, since we're casting we're casting it as a timestamp, then the data transformation will take effect. If I just push this like that, Laravel will take care of casting it back into a timestamp or a time and saving it in the correct format in the database. I guess I won't know until I try it. Until I try it. So this means that the key and the value will be the same. Or I could try and just make the key like this. Instead of formatted time like that, I can do raw time, maybe, equals time format, and then use like something like this, HIS. So that's like a 24-hour format with seconds included. And I can use that as a key. And it would look like that. So this is what goes into the database. this is what gets displayed in the dropdown. I think that makes sense. I like it. All right. So all the way to the top, first of all, we need to create a carbon instance based on the selected date. Let's do it one thing at a time. So we do carbon. What is it? A new carbon. We can do carbon parse in this case, I think. Carbon parse. And then take get. I know that I have to do this conditionally, but let me just get through it real quick. Get scheduled at. In fact, let's do that right now. If all of this depends if we have a value for, what was it? If we have a value for radio station, service, and date. So get radio station ID and get service ID and get scheduled at. If we have those three values, we can continue. We don't, then we just return an empty array. Okay, so we have a date based on the schedule at. It's a carbon date. With that, we can format that. I'm not going to do that actually here. We next need to fetch the radio station. We're already doing that. So we're going to do radio station equals radio station find get radio station ID. So we have the radio station. Next, we need the schedule of that radio station based on the date that we have here. So next we have the schedule equal to radio station schedule. Why don't I just copy this? The station would be the radio station schedules where, okay, hold on, that is interesting. I'm not querying that. Isn't it interesting that I'm doing where on a property instead of the relationship? And why does that work? I guess I'm doing it on a collection. Yeah. Okay, if it works, it works. Okay, so the schedules where starts at is less than the date, which is right here. So we find this the first schedule for that radio station. And then we grab the first service. No, the service is based on the service ID. Or, well, no. Okay. I was doing it like this just as a debug. So the service in this case, it's a little bit counterproductive to show the service if I'm going to end up doing this again down there. I guess it could be extended so that radio stations have different services, so it's kind of future proof in a way. I just don't like the repetition, but I guess we can just live with that for now. Just copy this, paste it down here. So we get the radio station, we get the schedule for that radio station, we get the service based on the radio station ID. Actually, we get the first, that's fine. We should be doing it based on the service ID though. If we're future-proofing this, that means that we should be doing service find get service ID. I know we're only returning one. That's the thing that is kind of pulling the brakes a little, is that we're only showing one at the top. It's always the first. Guess I should not do that then. Yeah. Let's do a get here, just so that we can do a for each. Then we don't need a get, we just need services, right? Which means that I don't need a variable. We just need to do for each radio station, just basically this whole thing. That looks really ugly though. Yep. Gonna move this up here though, so that it's not two separate lines. That looks better. For each services as service. I'm gonna need another variable up here. Or no. Yeah, I don't know why it was bothering to me that I'm only just returning one service, and I know that there should not be more than one service. But what if it is? What if it is? And we can just display a list of services that have different descriptions. Maybe it's a longer ad, maybe a 60-second ad, something like that. Let's just leave it like this so that it makes sense, and when reading it doesn't trample you into thinking that why is that only first, and then down below it's also first, so it's not confusing. So list of services can be many, it has many relationships, so it goes into an array. Right now it's only one, but that makes sense. And then down here we have the schedule. We get the service using the service ID from that radio list. It means that we don't need this or that. So schedule, service, and date. Something broken right now? No, not really. It's just empty for now. So we select the radio station. We say, okay. Define constant options. Where did I forget to put a $sign? Okay. Radio station, date, and service. So radio station, service, and date. And that will trigger this section here. Here. We have the schedule, we have the service. What else? Now we need to construct the slots. Let's see if we can get away with just copy and paste. Kind of. So basically, if we have all of this if statement is doing is just testing if we have a column with values for starts at and end at for that day. So this date format is going to give us the day of the week. So if it's Monday, it'll be, do we have a value for Monday starts at and Monday ends at, which is going to go here. If we don't have a value, then this array will be empty and this if statement will be false. But if we do have a value for those, then this array will have two elements and the check will be true. Because, you know, empty arrays evaluate to false, non-empty arrays evaluate to true. With that, we can just do carbon parse again for the start and end time so that we can feed it to the carbon period create method, working in minutes using the service. So we have an array of times. Now we need to, I'm going to do the book slots last. I'm just going to generate the array of slots first. Let's try and copy this, paste it here. So for each of those times, I'll get a time carbon instance. I formatted in the two different formats, and I'm not going to do this check just yet. And then I create the slots array. Did I initialize that anywhere? I don't think I did. Let me do it up here. So we create that array. And finally, we just return that, right? Return plots. In theory, that should work. Let's give it a try. I'm fully expecting it to not work. So radio station, service, date, didn't work. Okay. Today's what? Wednesday? We do have a schedule for Wednesday, don't we? Jesus Christ, I need to buy the license for this. Cannot have more than 2 tabs open. Yeah, we do have for Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. So something's up. Let's find out what. Let's start with that. Oh, I didn't make this live. Okay, let's try that again without the die and dump. See if it works this time. Fully reload, radio station, service, date. Didn't work. Okay, now let's do the die and dump. Okay, it's not getting past this. That's the problem. Let's check on those. Oop, not that. Let's check on these values. Put this outside. Let's do array. Again, not needed because the forms, the filament select can use both collections and arrays. So you can just return the collection. And you save yourself one extra function call to turn that into an array. Get, let's try radio station ID. Oh, that's not going to be. Okay. Let's try it. Obviously, it's not going to work. Okay, that means that this gives me a value. But I need this in an if. One of this is not giving me a value back. Service ID, maybe? Service ID, that's live. Radio station ID, that's live. Schedule at, that's live. Okay, let's try those out one at a time. Radio station ID. That works. How about service ID? Radio station ID. Service ID. Yes, that works. Finally, scheduled add. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that worked. Why is it that you're not getting in here? Oh, see, we're all, especially me, I don't know if you saw it already. Sometimes it's the stupidest thing possible. Like you missed a D in the name. Okay, let's try that again. Radio station, do I still have the DD up there? No. Service, date. Boom. And time. Now all we need to do is filter out the slots that are taken based on the add slots table. But we are just getting into the 2-hour limit, so we're going to leave that for next week. And also we're going to move into, what can we move into after that? I think we can start working on the AI part. Because this is what I was thinking one of these days. Instead of giving the user the AI, the text-to-speech file at the review, we can just give them a button right below the copy so that they can preview that copy before moving forward. That means that we are going to have to, from OpenAI, every time they click the button, that's fine. So that by the time they click next, I can validate all of this, including the file, and then do a review of the data down here in the second step with the file already generated and attached to the, I'm going to call it the add order, and then move into checkup. Sorry. Which allows me to have a temporary order that the user can keep in like a shopping cart and then pay later, if that makes sense. So as soon as they pay, that means that the ad will then go on the air. So they can create several orders and then review them later. They will have audio files attached to them and the list of times, and maybe we can give them the option to select different times, but that'll be a little contradictory. Anyway, so next week we're going to do, I think we're going to work on the text-to-speech part of all of this, generating an audio file, generating a preview, and then submitting the form and creating a temporary order for the ad. Sounds good? Awesome. Thank you so much for everyone. Dejit, I didn't see you there. I'm so sorry. I didn't say hi. I hope you're still here. Thank you so much for joining me. Thad as well. Thad Naing. Abdul, as always, super helpful. I hope I'm saying it right. Soccer or something like that. And yeah, everyone else, thank you so much for joining me. And I'll see you on Friday. If you're on Twitch, stay put because we're going to rate someone. If any of this was of any help to you, don't forget to hit the like button down there and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Follow me on Twitch, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me see. Who do we rate? Who do we rate? This guy. All right, everyone. Have a nice Wednesday, and I'll see you on Friday.